My name is Todd Norian. I'm the founder of Ashaya Yoga. Welcome to class today. I want to remind everybody to share this experience, practice for inner peace, so we can get more people peaceful in the world. And also, please join the Ashaya community by going to ashayayoga.com and join the email list. You'll get updates of all the online courses that I'm offering. And this is the last Tuesday at 5 class that I'm going to lead. I'm going to switch back to 9 a.m. So I'll be teaching Facebook Live Tuesdays and Thursdays at 9 to 10 a.m. So I've heard your feedback, and the morning time works better for more people, so I'm just going to switch back. But I will still be doing 2 classes a week, which is wonderful. And I look forward to all of that. So I'd like to focus today on fear-releasing postures. Fear-releasing postures. It's very easy to get swept up into fear, especially now when there's so many challenges and so much uncertainty all around us. And fear also comes when there's 2 opposing forces or 2 opposing ideas, and it feels like we're getting pulled in 2 directions at once. You know, when we're pulled in 2 directions, one of the reactions that happens is we freeze. And it really kicks in the fight, flight, or freeze part of our brain. And we can really be stuck, paralyzed by fear. Fear is a paralyzing emotion. It cuts off our ability to think. So it's important that we understand this idea of these 2 opposing forces and learn how to integrate them to find the place in the middle, in the center. So for instance, the force of freedom or safety, and especially right now during this pandemic, you know, we just want to be free to go out and socialize and do everything the way that we've done, which would be insanely horrible. And yet we have this idea of safety, how to keep ourselves safe. And it's so boring staying safe all the time. But I think there's a place in the middle. And that when we have these 2 opposing forces, like between freedom and safety, it helps to really understand the perspectives of both sides and to deeply accept that we all have a need for freedom and we all have a need for safety. To get inside of that, to understand. And when we can hold both of the contrasts and make them complementary, then we draw into the place in the middle, in the center, where we're able to access the wisdom of the heart. We're able to make the best decision from that place. So that's exactly what we're going to do today in our practice, and I'm going to work with one of the single muscles that's most associated with fear. So this is fear-releasing postures. So what is that muscle? The psoas. You've probably heard of the psoas muscle. It's a muscle that starts way up here at the base of the rib cage on T12 and goes from back body to front body, crosses the pelvis, and hooks right into the inner edge of the thigh bone here. And the psoas, when we get afraid, it contracts to try to protect us. It's a hip flexor, meaning that it bends your knee this way. And it's interesting that that muscle goes very close to the adrenal glands, which is our fight or flight gland that emits the cortisol that gives us these supernatural powers to fight or run as fast as we can in the other direction. Plus, the kidneys are there nearby as well. And when that muscle gets tight, we can have pain in our back. We warehouse our fears in the lower back. So this is a class to learn how to release this muscle of fear so that our back can be freed up and our psoas can have the length that it needs and the alignment that it needs to stay centered. So take a comfortable seat, turn your thigh bones in. Join your index fingers and thumbs, palms down. Close your eyes and draw into your breath. Let's make the breath deep and soothing today. As you inhale, breathe all the way up underneath your collarbones. And then as you exhale, let your hips get heavier. Feel the weight of your legs and the surface beneath you. And then inhale, lengthen your side ribs, armpits, dome, head of the arm bones back. Exhale and let go. Continue taking these deep breaths. And each inhalation, experience and sense and feel your innate freedom. The term for freedom is svatantriya, one's own freedom, which is an inherent need we all have to be able to feel free, to express the freedom, to not be locked in. And as you exhale, the hips get heavy. Feel the sense of groundedness in the earth. Earth brings us a sense of safety because it's unchanging. Or if it's changing very, very slowly. We need that sense of security. So inhale freedom. Exhale safety. Lift your throat, draw your palate back. Then lift the back of your occiput up, back of the skull up, while the back of the sacrum and sitting bones push down into the floor. And just grow your spine. Find the place in the middle between safety and freedom. They intersect deep in the heart. Set a heart intention for yourself for this class. What is it you really want to receive? These are practices for inner peace. Maybe a little more peacefulness, a little more centeredness. Maybe to help you make the contrast, whatever those may be in your life, how to make those contrasts more complementary. So that you go to the place in the middle where the heart opens and you experience your true nature as pure freedom. Bring your palms together in front of your heart. And let's express the place in the middle with the sound of Om. Namaste. Come up to standing, please. Take a block and put the block between your upper inner thighs with the short end facing forward and stand with your feet hip distance apart and parallel. Okay? You all know this is the Pez, little candy Pez. You're the Pez dispenser. Hands on your hips. Engage the block, so squeeze your legs, lift your toes, and then move your Pez back to the person behind you. 6 feet behind you. With your thigh bones back now, notice how your back is a nice curve. So that's the first thing. When your thighs go back, it aligns the psoas muscle. Now keeping the front of the groin soft, that's this area right at the top of the thigh, that should be hollow. When your thighs go back, it just will naturally open up. Keeping your thigh bones back, add your tailbone in. Okay? And you want to try to find the place in the middle. When you draw your tailbone in correctly, your low belly will pull in and up. So let's try that again. Just let yourself get insane. Go for freedom. Stick your butt out. Insanity. But it's part of our true nature also. So we stick it out. And then add safety. Draw your tailbone in. Insanity, safety. Insanity, safety. And then try to make the contrast complementary. You guys got to acknowledge your wild side. Okay, then palms in front. So this should start to feel pretty good. If you have been having low back pain, sometimes just getting the balance of thighs back, which creates openness in the pelvic floor, and also in the SI joint, tailbone in, which creates a connection and creates stability, which is more like safety of the joint. When those are combined together, it should feel pretty good. Pain will start to dissolve. Then from your pelvis, push down through your feet. From your pelvis, rise up. And inhale, stretch your arms up. Exhale, lead with your heart, fold halfway. And then come all the way down, lightly touch the floor or blocks if you need to touch blocks to come down. Bend your knees a little bit. To lock your knees back tightens the psoas. So these are all poses for releasing fear. So bend your knees a little bit. Take a deep breath here. Relax your face, your neck, your head, your shoulders. Maybe even just shake out your head a little bit. You've been walking around with a burden on your back, or just obsessed with fear. No worries. Use your breath. Thigh bones back, tailbone in. Find the place in the middle, and then inhale, lift your heart forward for more freedom. Exhale, bow, hug in. Safety. Inhale. Lengthen. Exhale and bow. Root down through your feet, sweep your arms out to the side. Inhale, come all the way up, and exhale. Release. Keep your thigh bones back. You need to keep a little bit of insanity for a healthy back. Release the block. Step to the front of your mat again. Inhale, arms up. Exhale and fold. Inhale, heart halfway forward. Exhale, right foot back into a lunge. Now, you can put your hands on blocks as well, just to make it a little bit easier for you. And hug your legs toward the middle. Now, this is stretching your right psoas muscle. We're going to stretch it a little bit more. Turn your right thigh in, lift your right thigh up toward the sky, and then draw your left hip back and down. Pull your belly in. Lean onto your right hand. Come up with the left arm and twist left. Take your left arm over your ear. Turn your heart up even more toward the sky. Try to breathe and reach and touch into your freedom. And then exhale, release all fear, release your hand down. Step back down, facing dog pose. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward now. Again, hands on blocks if you need. Pause, take some breaths. Hug in toward the midline. Then lift your left thigh a little higher, take your right hip back and down more. And you should feel a stretch right along the left upper thigh area, or the psoas area. And twist, lean on the left hand, stretch your right arm up. And right arm over the head, over the ear, stretch, lift your heart more up toward the right. And then lift your left thigh a little higher, take your right hip back more. Left thigh up, but the right hip goes down. Try to find the place in the middle. There's two contrasts. Back thigh rises, front hip roots down a little bit more. Find the place in the middle. Exhale, release, plank. Knees down, claw with your hands now. Exhale, slowly melt the upper back. Keep the head of your arm bones lifted. Come slowly, keep coming down all the way. Stretch your toes back. Claw your hands, pull backwards. And then inhale, rise up. Take the head of your arm bones back. Full deep breaths. Lift your skull, palate back, occiput up. And exhale, down. Curl your toes under, come onto your knees, puppy dog pose. Stretch back, hips toward the heels. Get to stretch underneath your arms. Lift your armpits up, but melt your heart toward the floor. These are two more contrasting actions, and I want you to make them complementary. So you lift your armpit up while you release the back of your heart. And the more you lift the armpits up, that creates safety in the joint. The more free your heart's going to be to release. Downward dog pose. Ultimately press one heel down, then the other. Go back and forth, heel to heel. Stretch it out and breathe. Bend both knees now. Turn your thighs in and try to get a low back curve. So you have to lift your sitting bones insanely high. Keeping the curve now, draw your tail in from your heart. Push down through your hands. From your heart, lift up through your back, down through your heels. But keep your inner thighs back. Inner thighs back, but outer shins back as well. Inner thighs, outer shins back at the same rate. Inhale, right leg up, bend your knee, lift your knee up and over and stretch. Push the base of your left shin back more, so your whole leg stretches. And then exhale, big lunge forward. You can let out a grunt. Come up, hands to hips and balance. Come onto your back toes. Square your left hip forward, right hip back, and then stretch up. To release the pose of fear, it's really the psoas muscle. So take your left hand back to your left thigh and push your left thigh up into your hand. Then press your right shin forward more. Left thigh up, right shin forward. Draw down through your tailbone, ribs back, and then arch back to whatever extent you can. And try to lift your waistline up out of your pelvis. Waistline has to come up. Stretch it more. More. Shoulders back. Curl back. Good. Inhale, left arm up now. Exhale, sweep your arms out to the side and down. Step back into downward dog pose and breathe. Rest as you breathe. When you find the place in the middle, that's where the healing energy comes. That's when you're going to release being frozen and stuck. When you're pulled apart by two opposing concepts or forces like freedom and safety, you find the place in the middle. Inhale, left leg up. Lift your inner left thigh more. Bend your left knee up and over. Take the base of your right shin back and stretch. And breathe. Here you can just let a little more insanity out. Stretch a little bit more. And then exhale, lunge. Hug your legs toward the middle. Come up, hands to hips. Inhale, stretch your arms. Hug your legs more toward each other. And then lift your right thigh a little higher, left shin forward. Right thigh up, left shin forward. Now we'll work a little bit more on the back leg psoas. So put your hand on your hamstring and push your right hamstring up into your hand. Left shin forward, more. Do both a little bit more. Right thigh up, left shin forward. Tailbone in. And then reach your waistline up and out from the pelvis as you curl back. It should feel really good. And then breathe. Inhale, right arm up. Arch back more. Exhale, release, touch, plank. Come down to Chaturanga Dandasana and hold. Super strong now. Grit your teeth a little bit. Claw your finger pads and your roots. Don't let the head of your arm bones go down. You got to resist. Head of the arm bones up. Stay strong. Then thighs back, tailbone in, and all the way down. Widen your hands. Come onto eagle talons and come up wide cobra. And with your elbows way out, you can lift your side ribs a little more. Head of the arm bones back. Join your legs. Engage your legs more. Tailbone strong. Now reach your heart forward. Heart forward more. Come down a little bit. Heart forward. And then exhale. All the way down. Very good. Come up into downward facing dog pose. And then exhale your right foot forward. Walk your hands over to the left. Square your left foot to the back edge of your mat. Walk your hands further left. Squeeze your legs. And stick your butt out insanely. Even more. I want you to feel the full extent of your freedom. Actually, I want you to try to get it out of your system. So stick your butt way back. You are free. And now create safety. Draw your tail in. And you can either bring your right forearm up on your thigh, like this, or you can touch the inside of the right foot, lean your shoulder into your knee into the shoulder, left hand to hip. And stretch your left arm over your ear. Now grow real long from your pelvis through the back leg, in front of your pelvis, left shin, right shin forward. Press the left outer heel, the right shin goes forward. Turn your heart toward the sky, the belly turns back towards the left thigh. There's two contrasting waves of energy in the torso. The low belly turns toward the earth, but the upper torso area turns toward the sun, towards the sky. Exhale, sweep down to the floor. Step back down facing dog pose. Feel your legs, feel your breath. Open it up. Then exhale, left foot forward. Spin your right foot square to the back edge of your mat. Walk your hands right. Hug your legs. And here comes insanity. Stick your butt out. Go way back. And it's an inner rotation of the thigh. The back thigh, the right thigh, also the front. Then, keeping your thighs free, pelvis is open and free, draw the tailbone in, create safety. How much? Well, not so much that your back thigh pops forward. Just enough so that you add just that little bit of balance needed, which will secure your freedom. Walk your hand to the inside of the left foot or left arm on left thigh, spine. Put your shoulder into your knee, and then stretch your right arm overhead, thumb up. From your pelvis, root through your feet, and from your pelvis, lift your heart even more, stretch out through your fingers. Low belly toward the earth, heart towards the sky. And breathe. Nice deep breaths. This stretches the hips and the legs and big time the psoas in the back leg. Exhale, release. Down, step back down facing dog pose. And bend your knees. Big toes touch, knees a little wider. Come into child pose and rest for a breath or two. Just give yourself time to integrate all that you've done so far. Okay, come on up. You're going to need a block for this. And we're going to take the block on the short end. And you're going to do left foot forward first. And you go into lunge and you place the back edge of the block just above the kneecap, right on the quadricep tendon. So find where your kneecap is, and it's slightly higher than that. And when you have the right spot, you'll know because it hurts. Good. Hurts good. Now, if you're tall, like if you're over 6'1" or 6'2", you might need to stack up the blocks. And here's what I recommend. You make a little platform seat like this. It's not going to work for my body. But you put your knee right here. Be right here. Otherwise, one block should do it. You place it just right. And make sure the block doesn't tip onto its edge. So you keep the block square. All right. So now, here's the technique. Surrender your thigh down on the block, but don't give up. Push back from your pelvis through the four corners of your right foot. Right big toe ball mount, inner heel, right little toe ball mount, right outer heel. Okay, and the more you surrender, the more the block is massaging connective tissue in the quadricep muscle, and it's also releasing psoas. And remember, this is a fear-releasing pose because psoas is the muscle that stores a lot of fear. And breathe. Walk your hands over to the right. Can you bring your forearms all the way down to the floor? If not, just bend your elbows a little bit. It just is a little bit deeper. Release your right thigh to take your outer left hip crease back and down. And you'll come back up onto your hands. And then twist like we did earlier, but go right flat on your right hand. Left hand on your left leg and twist left. Release your right thigh deeper. And then you can stretch your left arm overhead. You even arch back a little bit. Okay. There's one more variation. So this is the bus stop. This isn't your stop. You can get off the bus now or join us. And here we go. Climb up onto your knee. Hands on your hips. Careful. And then stretch your arms. Now surrender your right thigh down. Draw your tailbone in. And breathe. Pull your belly in. Pull your front ribs down. And then arch back a little bit. Very deep. Okay, exhale, release. Leave the block where it is and just step back, downward dog pose. And compare and contrast how much further your right heel is to the floor. Pretty amazing. Because you just released the right psoas. Now your thigh is able to actually go back. So here's a fancy way to do the second side. Take your right hand to the block and move the block 6 inches to the left. Then lunge your right foot forward. It's tricky. You can switch any way you need to. And then the block should be pretty close to the right spot, just above the kneecap on your thigh, and release your thigh, but push back through the 4 corners of your left foot. Surrender, but don't give up. Stretch it back more, but surrender your thigh down more. Walk your hands left, bring your forearms down. A couple more breaths, hang in there. Release the whole left thigh deep into the block. And this is creating a tremendous stretch in the psoas muscle and the back thigh, in case you haven't noticed. And then inhale, slowly come up. And then lean onto your left hand, right hand on the right leg, and begin to twist. Now pull your tailbone in, pull your ribs in, and then stretch your right arm up and over. Again, surrender your leg, left thigh down on the block, but push back through the left heel and the left big toe ball down. Inhale, come back to center, entering the bus stop territory. So if you can join me, come up, hands onto your front leg, surrender the left thigh down, push straight back. And then maybe left arm comes up. If you can get the right arm, do both arms. Tailbone in, pull your ribs back, pull your waistline up out of the pelvis, curl back, but from your pelvic core, root down. Full and deep breaths. It's a combination of freedom and safety right here. Because the block is pushing your left thigh back more than you would yourself. You draw your tailbone in for safety. You want to find the balance of both. Exhale, release, and step back, downward facing dog pose. And be aware now, your left heel is going to go down a little bit further. So if your left heel goes further down, guess what? We need to repeat on the other side. We could be here all night. Cancel that. Okay, just remove your block. And come down now to a seated position. And sit with your legs in a V, about 90 degrees. Inner rotate your thighs. So take your hands, one hand on the inner thigh, one hand right at the sitting bone, and inner rotate. Second side, inner rotate. Even more. Very good. Now try to get the whole bottom of your leg onto the floor. So it's the heel, even the space behind the ankle if you can, keeping your heel down. And then try to even get the space under your knee to go down. As long as your heel stays down, you won't hyperextend your knees. And to get that part down, you're going to see your legs will have to engage. Then pull your legs in toward the middle. So we're creating this engagement, which is creating safety and support. for the joints. And since you've interrotated your thighs, you can stick your butt out a little bit more, create a low back curve. Now, if you can't get a low back curve naturally in this way, you're going to sit up and elevate your hips. And that's a very important therapeutic to use the prop, because when your hips are elevated, the pelvis will tip forward. You'll be able to create a low back curve. You'll install the curve, and that's very important. When the low back has just the right amount of curve, the psoas muscle then gets aligned. Now draw your tailbone in. Lengthen the curve. Root your pelvis down, lift your heart up. And then exhale, twist to the right. We're going to go right, widen your left thigh to the left. And the more your heart goes toward the right foot, widen your left thigh. Even as you fold forward on the right side, I want you to maintain freedom on the left. To not close down. Lengthen your side ribs, lengthen your right side more. And then fold. Hold your outer shin. And you can use the shin to get a deeper twist through your low belly. Inhale, slowly come up. And exhale, turn to the left. And continue, hold the outer left shin. As you go left, widen your right thigh to the right more. And breathe. Lengthen your whole left side from your left waistline up to the left armpit. Continue to widen your right sitting bone. Maintain the freedom even as you fold forward. Forward folds are a contraction. Hug your muscles. Draw your tailbone in for safety. I want you to maintain the freedom. Your groins go back. Inhale, come up. Hold underneath your knees, bend your knees. Bring the soles of your feet together in bound angle pose. Manually turn your thighs in. And then place your hands behind you in eagle talons. And then from your pelvis, just push straight out through your knees into your feet. Breathe. Hollow your groins back for more freedom. Draw your tailbone in and push straight out through your knees. Balance of freedom and safety, both. How can we do both at the same time? I think part of it is we're balancing so much in life right now, in society right now. We have to go slowly. Continue to find inside ourselves a place where freedom and safety connect. And then make decisions from that place of the center, where we follow the wisdom of the heart in that place. And release, draw your knees together. Okay, come onto your back. Take a belt, and on your back, put the belt around your right foot. Stretch your leg up. Stretch your left leg straight out on the floor. And root your left thigh to the floor. Push your right thigh back until you get a low back curve. Your low back should rise off the floor. Keeping a low back curve now, draw your tail in. Pull on the belt. Push your thigh back. So this works psoas of the left leg. You got to keep that leg really strong and keep it down. But at the same time, you're working your hamstring muscles. And that's another muscle of fear. So to release hamstring is to release fear. Remember, we warehouse our fear in the lower back area. It just tightens up. Well, same thing. Really overly tight hamstrings can be from having just, a fear that's not integrated, that's unacknowledged inside. So this should feel really good. Spread your toes and push your right thigh back. Right thigh goes back. Hold both ends of the belt with your right hand and bring your right leg out to the right side. Stay with the stretch. Your left thigh will come off the floor a bit, but try to keep it down. Try to keep it centered. And you can stretch your left arm out to the side. Inhale, bring your right leg up. Take a deep breath. And then exhale, right leg all the way down to the left. Hold the belt with your left hand. Adjust your left thigh. So you gotta lift your hips a bit and stick your butt way back. Insane freedom. Just stick your butt back. That's it. And now make a circle with your arm up and overhead until your right shoulder comes all the way down to the floor. Make the back of your sacrum perpendicular. So if you need to back off a little bit, then do that. Every exhalation, release your right shoulder to the floor, but push away with your right foot. Left thigh back, tailbone in, find the place in the middle. You start to learn how the contrast actually can become complementary. And your capacity to integrate both sides, both the opposites, freedom and safety, is what is going to keep you ultimately safe and free. Because we need both. If you're not safe, you're not going to be free. You know, without safety, we get stuck in fear. We need a certain amount of security. So too much freedom is still too much. Okay, inhale, grab the belt, and bring your leg back up. Now bend your left knee, make your hips square, and hollow your groins back. Keep the inner sitting bones down as you lift your heart. You want to bring the forehead toward the knee. But continue to root the sitting bones down. Try to keep your low back curved as best you can. And then exhale, release your head back. Release the belt. Stretch both legs out side by side and compare the difference between the two legs. And you just relax fully. What does your right leg feel like? What about your left leg? Which leg is longer right now? Which leg feels like it has less fear? Bend your knees, put the belt around your left foot, go up. Create a low back curve, so you tip your sitting bones toward the floor. Push your left thigh back into the hamstring. And then stretch your right leg straight. And push the right thigh down to the floor. Hug muscles to bones, thighs back, tailbone in. And then pull on the belt. And continue to push your left thigh into the back of the hamstring. Now we've got this great hamstring stretch. Each exhalation, release more and more of the tension, release more and more of the fear. These are fear-releasing poses. All the poses we've done so far are just excellent to help you release the fear. You feel like you're being pulled in two opposite directions. Do this. Hold the belt with your left hand, left leg out to the left side. And breathe. Hug your right leg, don't let it follow. And stretch your right arm straight out to the side. Inhale, right leg up. Left leg up. And then you're going to hold with your right hand. And left leg all the way to the right. Just keep going. Roll onto your right hip. And then stick your butt back. Tailbone in. And make a circle with your left arm up and over your head until your left shoulder comes down to the floor. Left shoulder down to the floor. Back face of the sacrum is perpendicular. And then breathe. You can look up or you can look. The full stretch would be to turn your head look to the left. But that can be sometimes tense. So just look straight up, it's fine. Continue to push both thighs away. Freedom is our goal. But there's no freedom without safety, so keep your tailbone in. Hug your muscles around the joints. That sends a message to the brain that there's support, and then it can release. Inhale and slowly come up. Bend your right knee, right foot on the floor, straighten your hips. And then keep your sitting bones toward the floor more. And a little bit of lift through the heart, through the head. Just the last little bit of the hamstring stretch. Exhale and release. Bend both knees, feet flat on the floor. Pause for a moment and enjoy the stretch. Separate your feet as wide as the mat. Bring your arms in half cactus pose. And then move your knees all the way down to the left, slowly. Inhale, bringing the knees back up. And move back to the right. So you're just going, turning the sides of your feet. Go back and forth a few more times. Take long, deep breaths. Now we're going to bring the knees over to the left, hold them there. You're going to rotate your thighs, then draw your tailbone in. Bring your left ankle on top of the right knee to anchor to go a little bit deeper. And then from your pelvis, push through your right thigh bone out through your right knee. At the same time, stretch your right arm up overhead. Breathe into the stretch. This is an excellent psoas stretch on the right side. It's also going to stretch the low back area. Every exhalation, see how much more you can let go. This is a fear-releasing class. Instead of being pulled in two opposite directions, we find the place in the middle. Come back to your center. Inhale, bring your knees back up to center. And then feet wide, knees over to the right. Bring your right ankle on top of your left knee for more stretch. Inner rotate your thigh, especially left thigh. Draw your tailbone in, especially on the left side. Stretch your left arm overhead and push your left knee away from you. Stretch from the pelvic cord down to the left knee. From the pelvis up through the torso, the shoulder, elbow, wrist, hand, fingers. Even stretch your fingernails from left hand. Now breathe. Inhale slowly back up to center. Cross. Take both knees in towards your chest. Now we're going to bring the knees a little bit wider apart. So a little stretch in the inner thighs, pelvic area. Lift your toes, turn your feet outward slightly. And then see if you can bring your feet down to the floor and do Supta Baddha Konasana. So the knees are wide, you're in bound angle without props. Breathe for a few moments. See how much more you can let go through the hips. And then slowly bring your knees together. And come into Shavasana. Stretch your legs out. Arms by your sides, palms up. Take a couple of deep breaths. Every time you exhale, release more of your weight into the earth. Let the muscles fall away from the bones. Allow your bones to descend into the earth. Now bring your awareness all the way down to your feet. Relax your feet. Relax your ankles. And like a warm wave of relaxation, let it rise up through your calves and shins, through your knees, your thighs, and your hips. Imagine your legs and your hips fully released. Imagine a warm, liquid light, radiant gold. Breathe in through the soles of the feet all the way up to your hips. All tensions release. Legs are heavy, hips are heavy. Then continue to relax your lower belly, your low back, the area of the psoas muscle from the back to the front, sides. Begin to release your upper back, your thoracic spine, ribs, heart. And the very base of the thoracic spine, we call it T12. It's the place where the psoas muscle connects. It's the place where the upper and the lower body meet. It's a connection to the breath, the diaphragm. Your breath, be free of constriction, free of fear, free of worry. Release your shoulders and imagine two currents of liquid light flowing down from the shoulders, through the arms, through the elbows, forearms, wrists, palms, fingers, forming little pools of light on all the fingertips. The golden, luminous light. And relax your neck and your throat. And especially the ridge in the back of the skull called the occiput. Imagine a rush of golden liquid healing energy under the occiput. Let it flow from the top of the head like a waterfall down smooth rocks. Relax your jaw, the root of your tongue, the inside of your mouth, your lips, the space between your lips, cheeks, nose, eyes, eyebrows, third eye, temples, right and left. Inner ears, outer ears, top of the head. Your entire face, your entire back of the head, skull, brain. Now relax your entire body. Imagine a golden dome over your whole body, pouring down, raining down, streams of light, healing, bringing you to the place of center, where contrasts become complementary, where the wisdom of your heart flows, underground spring, fresh water. Gradually begin to return. Receive the balance of freedom and safety in the form of your breath, like a blessing from grace. And send your breath all the way down to your fingertips and toes. And move your fingertips, move your toes. Very slowly begin to stretch. Your knees roll to your right side. Then very slowly come up to a seated position. Join your index fingers and thumbs, palms down. Sit tall in a posture worthy of the balance of freedom and safety. Lift your side ribs, take your shoulders back, take your head back. And then close your eyes and breathe into your heart. Find the place in the middle between the two contrasting energies. You find the place between earth and sky, between freedom and safety. You draw into the heart, which is the threshold, the place in between, filled with possibility, with mystery, with new discovery. The truth is, we can't survive without freedom. We can't survive without safety. Such a dilemma. We find the place of balance between both. And there, deep in the heart, is our connection to the vast universal energy of grace, where you are supremely free, always safe. Bring your palms together now in front of your heart. From the wisdom of your heart, from this place in the center, place in the middle, the threshold, where universal touches individual. You find deep integration, deep peace, deep inner peace, and a newfound sense of freedom, even while maintaining safety precautions. Let's connect our hearts with all those practicing today and all those who will practice. And send healing light from the place in the middle, a light without fear, where fear is released, freedom is allowed to flow. Take a deep breath in, let's tune out. The freedom in me bows to the freedom in you. Namaste.